Another early morning for me. I had a bunch of weird dreams, so figured it'd be a fitting time to talk about Sandman and Locke and Key. It's a crossover, two universes colliding, mixing, becoming part of a story, and blending this story could be kind of tricky because of the dynamics in these stories. But oddly enough, it's a pretty good fit. But before that, let me remind you that we're broadcasting every Wednesday nights, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and check us out there for a live version of these type of reviews. Also, hit the like, subscribe, and the bell so you know when we're on. Now, I'm not gonna say that Sandman Locke and Key crossover is an easy book to get into, because you have to have read Sandman, and Locke and Key is not like a great jumping on point. Now, the story they give you is a pretty good, it's a pretty good, solid story that stands on its own without you knowing that mythology, but knowing that mythology is gonna be the trick. You need to know that hell requires a key. That's part of Sandman's mythology. The story takes place, I want to say 10 years after the issue 0, which is a reprint of another Locke and Key book that they have all these subtitles that I don't know. They have more subcategories of Locke and Key than porn does. Sandman has its own ancillary stuff too, but it takes place, I think, in between page 12 and like 18 of Sandman number 1, whereas in Locke and Key it actually takes place 10 years after issue 0, which is somewhere on the timeline of Locke and Key. That in itself is a testament on how well they actually do the weaving of these two mythologies into one cohesive story. So I can't be mad at it. So if you read issue 0, one of the dudes in there, 10 years later, his son is dead and is in the afterlife, in hell. And he's distraught over it, and he wants to get him out. He needs a key to hell, because in Locke and Key, you use keys for everything. Every lock needs the right key, and you can unlock all the potential you need. Now, in Sandman, there's a key to hell. Like, that's one of the big stories that you're probably going to see in the Netflix series, where Lucifer decides to leave hell, and Orpheus has to go down to hell and take over hell and get the key and lock it back up. And it's a whole other story. If you watch Lucifer, the TV series, it kind of plays with that. Plays with it is really what it is, because it just plays with it. Oh, I broke that toy. That's kind of what happens. I hate that show, and you should too. That's beside the point. This is comics. So the daughter of the dude from issue 0 of Locke and Key Sandman, Hell and Gone, I think it's called. He basically wants to get his son out of hell, but he knows what to do. He knows what he needs to do, but doesn't want to go through it. The daughter ends up getting the Anywhere key and travels to England to the sorcerer that has Orpheus locked up in issue 1 of Sandman. And she wants to bargain with Orpheus to try and get the hell key. That's basically the cliffhanger-y ending. She ends up going into the Dreaming, which is Orpheus's realm where he's a king. And she takes his helmet, his gas helmet. She ends up meeting Cain and Abel, and it's a really weird thing to see Cain and Abel deal with somebody else, because the way you see him in Sandman and the way you see him here, you see they're the same, but through somebody else's perspective. And she's like tripping and bumbling around through the Dreaming, and it's a trip to see a human get that key to get there and be there. There's stuff like A Game of You and in A Doll's House and stuff, which kind of play with that concept a tiny bit, or the foundations of what you see here in Hell and Gone. And it's just interesting to see, and it leaves me very, very piqued in my interest to keep reading it. I can't say, like, it could have easily been a butchering of these two great mythologies, and it turned out not to be. It turned out to be something that was done really well, and I can't be mad at it. I can't wait for issue 2. So this book gets a, I want to say maybe five keys out of 5 is an easy way to say it. It's hard with this issue 1 because it's an issue 1. We're at issue 0. And like I said, issue 0, well, if you watched or listened to our review of it on Fantastic Forum live Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. If you actually like heard that review of that book, it really did feel like it was a reprint of a Locke and Key book that I didn't read, and I didn't know it was a reprint at the time. So I just went with it, and it's like it felt like it was more aligned to what we're going to be reading, and it kind of is, because even what it gave you in Sandman is a reprint of issue number 1. I think a partial reprint at that. But this new story that melds the two does a good job, and as a fan of Sandman and a fairly decent fan of Locke and Key, I'm happy to have read it. I can't wait for issue 2. Stay tuned. We're gonna review the rest. The next review of this will probably be when finish the whole crossover event, and I'll see you then.